You're watching College Football Now. Harrison Graham and James Yoder. We'll get into the committee's rankings in just a second. But, guys, if you want more college football videos, I'll bring you some. James will bring you some. Chase Sr. We're breaking down the latest news and rumors, plus looking at coaching hot boards, and we will continue to analyze the College Football Playoff Committee's rankings, so subscribe for more videos. All right, the second edition of the CFP Rankings are out. Harrison and James here to break them down for you. We'll break down the top six, and then we'll go from there and give our thoughts, and we'll go back and forth. No change in the top two, James. Georgia number 1, Alabama number 2, despite struggling with LSU. Oregon slides up after Michigan State loses. Ohio State moves up to 4, Cincinnati up to 5, and then Michigan jumps Michigan State, even though they lost to them 9 days ago. What's your initial takeaway of the top 6 or 7 here?
I'm surprised that they didn't hold the same rules that ranked Oregon against Ohio State for the second week in a row. I'm surprised they did not hold those same rules to Michigan State. But maybe at the end of the day, they put everybody in like this blind taste test and say, hey, we know you lost head-to-head, but you lost on the road to a top 5, top 6 team, top 7 team now, and Michigan State lost to Purdue, right? Maybe, we'll see what happens, but it's not going to matter. If both teams win out, Michigan State will jump Michigan. If they don't, it won't matter at all.
Oregon lost to Stanford, who's 3-6. Mm-hmm. That's a way worse loss than Purdue,
who's
in the top 25.
But how about this? Alabama, they struggled with a bad LSU team.
Yes.
They really struggled with a bad Florida team. And they're still getting the benefit of the doubt because their name is Alabama.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you guys this question. We'll dive deep into 7 through 25, come back around to the top 6 again. Who should be higher right now? Michigan or Michigan State? They faced off 10 days ago in East Lansing. Michigan State won 37-33, but they followed that up with a loss to Purdue. Michigan had a rather elementary win against Indiana, 29-7, but Michigan is ranked higher, one spot higher than Michigan State, 6 versus 7. Type Mich, type MSU in the comments here on Chat Sports YouTube. Harrison, I didn't think it would happen. I'm glad it happened because it makes me happy personally, but give me your unbiased take as a college football guru.
Look, I don't blame you as the host of the Michigan Football Report. And by the way, youtube.com/MichiganTV. I don't know if we have
Follow
that
me on Twitter. I'm going to hit in the chat.
But the point is all we ask for is consistency, and 7 years into this, we've never gotten it. Mm-hmm. That's my biggest gripe with this committee. There's no clear criteria. There's no clear why certain teams get in over others. This committee seems to rank certain teams in the top 25 to help bolster teams like Alabama, Ohio State. We see it year in and year out. Why is Mississippi State ranked 17th last week? It makes no sense. They lost, so thank God they're not ranked this week. I just don't – I think the only justification to ranking Michigan higher is they're a blue blood and Michigan State isn't. There's no other rhyme to reason to rank them higher when you didn't apply that rule for Oregon and Ohio State in that head-to-head, which, by the way, Oregon's loss to Stanford is way worse than Michigan State's loss to Purdue, who is in the top 25, which we will tell you guys where they're ranked coming up shortly. That is my rant on that, but I'm sure you and the Michigan faithful can laugh at little bro all day long.
Look, I'll take it. Maybe Penn State this week. It'll set up a heck of a matchup against Ohio State if Ohio State beats Michigan State here in 2 weeks. But I don't think it's really going to matter. Those three teams all kind of play each other, right? Ohio State plays both Michigan State and then Michigan in the finale. It's going to work itself out. The Big Ten will not and should not get 2 teams in the top 4, so it's not going to matter. The only conference that has a chance to, obviously, is the SEC if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC title game. But I'll ask you guys this question. Harrison, I want to hear your thoughts. Who should be number 2? As crazy as this sounds, I don't have a great answer for it, but maybe it should be Cincinnati, right? They pushed them up to 5. They're undefeated. They've got a top 10 win against Notre Dame. They can say 2 things that Alabama can't, right? They've got a top 10 win. They've got an undefeated season going on there. Yeah. They've struggled against some mediocre teams. Well, so has Alabama, Florida, LSU. And, Alabama's big wins, what is it, Ole Miss at this point? Yeah. I'm not sure if that's that great of a win. Texas A&M is their loss.
I agree.
Okay, Texas A&M beat Auburn, but that's not like a great Texas A&M team, okay? So I think Alabama's getting by name recognition only. They deserve that name recognition because they have dominated this college football playoff era. But nevertheless, if their name was not Alabama, they would not be number 2.
Yeah, I mean, look, Notre Dame has a better win than anything Alabama has, and they're unbeaten. I get it. They play in a lesser conference. Cincinnati has a better win than Alabama does, beating Notre Dame on the road. Bama plays in a tougher conference. I acknowledge that. Bama almost lost to Florida. Bama almost lost to LSU. Both those schools probably are going to have new coaches next year, okay? Like, that's not the typical Florida and LSU. I just don't understand why the rules don't apply the same for everyone.
Let me address one of our commenters. If you're watching this on demand, this is a live comment from our Tuesday night show. A. Pep Jones said Ohio State should be number 2. They have the best loss. Well, one, they don't have the best loss, right? And then number two, they had a month period where they beat the crap out of some of the worst teams in college football, Akron and Maryland and Indiana, but they struggled with Penn State. They struggled with Nebraska. They struggled with Tulsa. They lost to Oregon. They have 4 of their 9 games where you said they reasonably could have lost or struggled more than they should have. They should not be ranked number 2 under any circumstances. And frankly, if they don't soundly beat Michigan State and Michigan, if those are close games, 21-18, 21-17, something like that, if they don't soundly beat both of them, you're going to make an argument, a good one, that an undefeated Oklahoma should jump them, that an undefeated Cincinnati should jump them, or that they should stay ranked below Oregon, who beat them head-to-head. I think Ohio State has a lot to prove. They're going to get the opportunity. Purdue, Michigan State, Michigan, and then potentially if they win those 3, the Big Ten championship.
One quick thought on Bama, then we'll keep it moving to the 7 through 25. When Bama lost to Texas A&M, A&M had just gotten crushed by Arkansas and barely beat Colorado the week before that. It's not like they were catching a hot Texas A&M in College Station. I think context matters, and that loss is not that great of a loss at the end of the day. BetUS is a great deal because they are the #1 sports book in the game right now. If you want to gamble on sports, it's fun. Producer Jack had never bet on sports before this year. He's made money. He's above 500 betting on the NFL this year. So if you're a sports gambling beginner, if you've never done it, get going with BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CHAT125. Put down $100, you get $125 for free. And if you are a new BetUS customer, if you're like, man, that sounds fun, I'll get into that. Well, we have a free jersey giveaway opportunity for you guys. Screenshot this graphic, this screen still right now. Just screenshot it, follow these steps. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Chat125 is the promo code. You got to deposit a minimum of $100, but good news, you'll get $125 for free with that promo code. And then once you bet a game on any game for any amount, email us, jersey@chatsports.com. We'll confirm your account information that you got going with BetUS, and then we're going to send you guys a free jersey from whatever school you like. Got a lot of jerseys available. Email us, jersey@chatsports.com, and we will hook you guys up with a brand new jersey. All right, James, believe it or not, people do care outside the top 6, so let's kind of go rapid fire here. We'll spend a little time 7 through 10, and then we'll really pick it up. Michigan State, obviously the talking point there, behind Michigan, and then Oklahoma at 8. I still think those are 2 schools that if they win out, their chances of making the playoff are very good.
Yeah, I think this is I know we talked about Texas A&M as, hey, they could be a wild card, but Oklahoma State, that's the cutoff to me. I don't think any team after that, out to the top 10, has a chance. But, crazy things have happened in this world. This is reminding me a lot, though. We've talked about it a lot in the 2-3 years we've known each other, Harrison. This is reminding me a lot of the 2007 season. Number 2 or number 3 keeps losing pretty much every week. There's chaos. Yep. There's no Heisman Trophy favorite. This reminds me of that season. So remember that year. Number 1 and number 2 lost on championship weekend. Ohio State and LSU, a 2-loss LSU, vaulted back into the top 2 to get into the college football BCS national championship game at that time. But I think the cutoff is number 10. So Michigan State, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma State, who have the opportunity, just like Oklahoma, to win their way and potentially win in, although they do have that loss on their resume.
I'll throw this in there as well. Notre Dame, I know they're ahead of Oklahoma State. I actually think Oklahoma State has a better chance because they can win a conference championship and beat Oklahoma twice, which would be better than anything Notre Dame can do the rest of the way. 11 through 15, Texas A&M. We'll see. They're going to have to blow teams out and get a lot of help. They do have 2 losses. Wake Forest falls to number 12. Baylor falls to number 13. That's a good opportunity for Oklahoma this week, James, in the top 15 matchup. BYU and Ole Miss rounding out the top 15.
Yeah, take it into 16. I don't really have a ton to say about those 5 teams because I don't think they have that great of a chance to really do anything. I think this next batch is pretty interesting because there's a few teams in here. North Carolina State, potentially could have been spoilers had Wake Forest not just lost. So that storyline,
or they could have helped Wake out.
Yeah,
Wake
sure, they could have. Yeah, Wake. They lost to North Carolina, so that I don't think an ACC team obviously has no chance.
Done.
Auburn looked really bad, but they still got the game against Alabama. They could throw this whole thing into a mess. Wisconsin, Purdue, Iowa, that Big Ten West. Who's going to come out of there?
Fascinating.
This is the most vulnerable Ohio State's been in a long time, in my opinion. They don't look like they are this dominant team, although they have a ton of stars, and they have yet to put it together, I feel, where it's like, okay, same old Ohio State, they're going to win. So I think they're, even if they beat Michigan State, this group right here, they'll play Purdue this week, obviously, maybe a rematch. The winner of the Big Ten West, I think, will have a shot against the winner of the Big Ten East this year.
21 through 25, Pittsburgh at 21, San Diego State at 22. The undefeated UTSA Roadrunners at 23, Utah at 24, then Arkansas back into the top 25. So graded as a whole, A, B, C, D, or F. How do we feel about the committee's rankings this week? Honestly, had they kept Michigan State over Michigan, I still hate Bama at 2. That's well documented. But I would have at least liked their processing a little more this week. But then they decided to piss me off again. So I got to give it another D-. It just doesn't make sense, half the stuff they do.
Harrison, I'm here to tell you right now, you're wrong. This is an A-plus ranking. Every year give Michigan credit for losing and then still being ahead of that team with the same record. I'm giving them an A-plus. That's my biased opinion. Not objectively. I like last week's rankings better than this one because objectively, Michigan State, of course, should have been ahead of Michigan, and I don't know why they keep rewarding Alabama for playing mediocre, playing down to their competition. Either Oregon or Cincinnati should have been number 2, and Alabama needs to be punished for playing all these close games against 500 teams.
It should be about this season, not about what you've done over the past decade. It's about this year. At least they haven't ranked Clemson yet because they're one of the worst teams, and they're the worst 6-3 team I've ever seen in my life. I thought they might be ranked.
It feels like they have a lot more losses than 3.
Oh my God! I mean, against the spread, they're like 1-8 or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been that bad. So
they finally scored over 20 points against an FCS team or FBS team.
Yes, finally. It only took 2 months. Here's the current college football playoff map according to us. I think Oklahoma and Michigan, honestly, with Michigan being ranked higher, you could probably put them in that controlled destiny category. But I think those 5 schools on the left, OU and Michigan, pretty much control their own destiny. If they win out, the other schools are going to need some help.
Michigan can control their own destiny because they've got the head-to-head to Michigan State. And
exactly.
To control their own destiny,
can't.
Michigan State would have to lose to Ohio State if they, so there's that contingency. If Michigan State were to beat Ohio State and Michigan were to as well, Michigan State gets in the Big Ten title game, and then you'd have to, for your Michigan perspective, you'd have to hope that the Big Ten somehow gets 2 teams in, which won't happen, I don't think, in this year.
No.
Michigan's in the unenviable spot. A week from Saturday, they will be rooting for their arch rival Ohio State to beat Michigan State. So if Michigan holds serve against Penn State and Maryland, that game against Ohio State on November 27th means the winner goes into the Big Ten title game in the top 4 and has a chance to be in the college football playoff.
We'll leave you guys on this question. What's most likely to happen? Is Cincinnati going to make the playoff? Type CIN if you think so. Or will Oklahoma State, a.k.a. probably the Big 12 champ, make it? Type Big 12. Or if you think Michigan or Michigan State will make it, which scenario is most likely? Type BIG or B1G for the Big Ten scenario there. Let us know down in the comments. To recap the top 6, and then we will sign off here. Georgia number 1, Bama number 2, Oregon number 3, Ohio State number 4, Cincinnati moves up to number 5, and very curiously, Michigan at 6 with Michigan State down at number 7.